Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of the Last of Us review series. I am the Viper, Trasnell, and I'm joined by...
I am Big Wigs Kid, Kirklin Patzer.
I'm Animar Caster Dilmas.
I'm the Click Click Taylor Field.
Click, Click, Boom. Were you a fan
Sure.
of that song back in the day?
I'd have to hear it again.
By Saliva? Click, click, boom!
Saliva doesn't help me.
Okay, great.
Turn it down with a radio.
Yeah, you played some
Click,
skate
click,
games or
boom.
something.
Oh,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah,
Totally like
there-
pro skater.
Yeah, it's in wrestling games and hockey games. Everybody, come on, come on! No one thought
Gets you fired up.
Oh yeah, no one thought during the last review, first thing we talked about was Saliva, the popular 2000s hard rock band, or rock, I don't know. But either way, we are here to actually talk about Last of Us, and we talk about many great things. Today, where can they find all those many great things we talk about?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find that with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook.
Yeah, we're talking about a bunch of stuff. We're talking about video games weekly. We're talking about movies pretty much weekly. We're talking about TV shows like X-Men, which we're reviewing, the animated series on Patreon, or John Wick we're doing earlier. We got retrospectives, we got newscasts, a whole bunch of things if you're new. So check them out. Head down below. You can find everything, our video, our audio feeds, where to support us. Find us, our podcast network, the separate feeds, our Discord, which is always tons of fun. You can interact with us and the fans in there. This Saturday will be after 9, coming back for a 6 p.m. PST edition. So look out for that. If you're a Patreon on the Phase 2 tier higher, you get to call in, join us for some shenanigans. I'm sure we'll be talking about this show and other stuff. And as I just said, Patreon, get over there because that's the biggest way to support us. Everything you put back, we're fan funded, so everything you put back in the show, we give back to you. More content, more shows, more bonus episodes, good stuff like that. Get episodes ad-free, early, exclusive. We just put up 2 exclusive episodes today, a bread and butter ranking the entire Phase 1 to Phase 4 of the MCU, top 10 characters, villains, and then we did a really fun originals, some behind the scenes and the grind of podcasts and some laughs along the way. No Saliva there, but it was still a good time. And a big shout out to the people at the highest tier, our Patreon producers, Aaron Brain, April Darkness, Joshua Wright. We thank you for supporting us. We thank everyone for supporting us on the Patreon, and we thank you all just even for listening. We really appreciate it. So I'm going to start with Mr. Anti-Sony himself. I'm going to start with Taylor Field because, he already has a PlayStation. But I know you... Look at that. What was that? Was it the banner that pushed us out? Is that what happened? Or was it the double banner that pushed us out?
Is this one? The big
Oh,
one.
look at that. Look at that. You see
see
some
a tire.
tires going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to look out for the video version. But Taylor Fields, I know you think I think you had like a little experience with the game. I don't think you played it all the way through. I guess I should just let you talk about that. So I'll throw it to you.
You know apparently everything.
Yeah,
Let's make
okay.
assumptions
Yeah.
about Taylor's
Yeah, you
experience
took a
with
pee at
Last
7
of Us.
a.m. You turned
What?
Saliva at 8:01.
Was that
Yeah.
you in the attic?
No, that was me in the mirror. You're out, Taylor. Let's not start that. Taylor Field, history Last of Us, and what did you think of tonight's first episode? Hour and 25 minutes, so lots of content there.
Yes, so my experience with Last of Us, I can't remember how far I got, but everything that we got to, well, I won't, I don't know if I should say that. I don't want to say it's a spoiler. There were many things that happened that I was very much like, okay, I'm aware of what's going on. I'm on track. I
You've been here
understand.
before.
I've been here before. Yeah. So I'm very thankful for that. Well, there's certain characters outside of like Joel and Ellie and other symbols that are appearing that obviously I'm not super familiar with because my knowledge on the genre, this series is very limited still. I'm still able to pick up the pieces and kind of fill in the gaps. I really do like The Last of Us, and from what I watched, I immediately want to get back into it. I'm not sure why I kind of like steered away like after I got to a certain point.
It's a long game. It takes some
It is a
time.
long game, and I know when I'm playing certain things, like this is the kind of thing that happens with like Alien Isolation or something that happens with like an Outlast. You get to these certain points where it's like, you know what, fuck, I can't do it anymore. Not because I'm scared. It was just like this fucker
Sure,
is
Taylor,
like
yeah. I'm
pinning me
Scared, it's just
down.
stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of it. It's afraid of me.
Exactly. There you go. So I need to get back into it, but I'm really loving the parallels, the comparisons, and I think that this, at least with this episode, like I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm just super zoned into this and intrigued. And I think this is something that HBO Max, like they should do more of this. Like they obviously have their main
What?
Their
They're
main
known as like they
Max.
produce
What
the
is
best
that?
shows on the
no
planet
more
with
like
Succession
adaptations of video games and stuff
Oh,
like this.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I love to see that because I feel like when you look at this show and you look at other ones, I'm not saying The Witcher is bad or anything like that, but I feel like there's such a
Next
very
season.
distinct line going down between what one streaming company does with their video game shows and now what Netflix does with theirs. And while they both have their strong points,
What about
I think
Halo?
I'm very biased and leaning towards HBO Max, just from what I've seen with this first episode. So
What about
There you go.
comparing to
Max
Halo,
still a
Taylor?
thing? Is HBO Max
Fuck.
still a thing?
it's Crave for us, I guess. Oh,
Yeah, I
But,
think
like,
they,
isn't HBO Max just like discontinued?
they're,
Aren't they,
no,
like,
they're
stopped
combining it
It
soon.
says
I think
it
this
on
year.
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
this I think this year coming up, they are changing it to a new streaming service, putting Discovery and HBO together. So there'll be some new fancy name or something. Probably have the word plus in it, but
HBO Plus?
HBO
Halo-
Max plus Discovery.
Halo has no, like, not even a fraction of a margin
No?
in this, like,
Okay.
echelon. This show is, like, way above it.
You liked the
Okay.
first episode of Halo, didn't you? No. Okay.
You'll never know. Kirklin.
Yeah.
Go back
Go
and listen
check
to
out-
I'll
10
go
weeks
with
of
the
reviews.
reviews.
Yeah, you got tons of
Exactly.
reviews. See, I want to ask you this though, because you thought about like jumping back into it. Is that something you're going to jump into after? Like, obviously you're busy, so I probably doubt you'll play it before. But this is like, I think it's like 9 or 10 episodes. I have to check. So it's like a solid amount of weeks and stuff like that. Would you play it before? Or would you want the season to finish? You don't get spoiled on the stuff you don't know.
I'd be totally okay with, like, the season playing out. I feel like there's the one big thing which I think they saved for the game when you get to the end of the game as a reveal, which we can talk about with this episode. But
Well,
Spoiler alert.
it's that's the tough thing I find with stuff like this, because it's like I'm only going to talk about what they've shown so far, because I don't want to go like, oh, because this happens this way, you know.
Yeah.
Like I think it's different with comic books, because I'd be like, oh yeah, this one time like Thanos got killed by Doctor Doom, but it's like we may never see that, right? Or because like there's so many different adaptations. Where this they've been very clear, like, hey, we're adapting these games as close as possible, with adding a few things in here. They're going to adapt the DLC as well. So, well, don't worry. We won't spoil any big plot points. Taylor, we'll put a ball gag on him or something.
just scream.
Get the
Just
ball
scream
games
into the microphone when he's about to spoil. Yeah.
out. Oh fuck.
All right. So Dylan Musk. So I know you're somebody that, you know, as far as the gameplay is not, you know, your biggest thing, but I know you've always been like, well, the show could be interesting. I'm doing it again. You could just go.
I feel like gameplay is my biggest thing. I don't actually know
No,
what
I
that
mean like
sentence
biggest
was.
thing, like not liking it for the no.
Oh,
That's
I
how you even got into the
yes.
series. Yes.
Naughty Dog's games have always been like kind of a blind spot for me, because
Mm-hmm.
you hear Uncharted and Last of Us and like some of the greatest games of all time. And I've tried multiple times to play Last of Us, multiple times with Uncharted, but Naughty Dog's gameplay is just nails on the chalkboard for me. I cannot stand playing their games, which is too bad, because I really want to get those stories. And that's why I was so excited for the show, because I can hopefully, if it's good, finally get that story fully given to me and I don't actually have to play the game. And so with that being said, I've done the first few hours of Last of Us a couple times. I think I know a lot of the major plot points though, so there's even some things in here I'm like, okay, I think I know where this is going already, but I'm excited to see how wrong I am, because I'm sure I just like know certain moments or something like that, and I'm sure they'll be different. And you mentioned they're doing the DLC. I don't know if that's a season 1 thing or if it's further out, but I actually don't know anything about the DLC, so
Okay.
that would be like complete surprise to
Yeah.
whatever ends up going on there. So that's
I think
exciting.
they're gonna incorporate in this season, because the DLC is like a pre Ellie, like before this show, like that. It's some of her origin stuff. So I think they'll just incorporate this like an episode or something in
Gotcha.
here. So yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so as for what we got today, I'm definitely not as high as Taylor. I liked the show, but I think there's a couple hang-ups for me, and it's mostly just like nitpicky things. I feel like there was a bunch of little things that stuck out to me, like the editing and camera work I was not really a fan of, which don't detract too much from what the overall thing is, but it was noticeable for me. And there's a couple other moments that I was laughing that I'm certain I was not supposed to be, or just other things that were maybe some of the writing was a little subpar. It's like I'm saying, it's all nitpicky things. I can't really point out like, oh, this is a huge major issue or anything like that. And so hopefully, as I get used to it and I watch more episodes and I get more invested in the overall thing, then I'll like it more and more. That's my hope. But so far it's going all right, and I am excited to keep going with this thing. And there's a couple moments in particular that were really, really great. So I'm hopeful that there is. I can finally get the Last of Us story in a way that I can digest happily. So that's what I'm hoping for, and I think we're on that trajectory.
No, I'm gonna say anything. Kirkland Patzer, what do you think of the show?
Yeah, I guess my little backstory. I got halfway through. I think like literally dead on 50% through Last of Us. There was a particular moment with a sniper that I tried like 3 times and just got bopped and just got so pissed off. Put the game down, have not returned to it. But I was really liking what I was
I
experiencing.
can't wait till we get to that episode. He just turns the show off, walks out. I can't
Yeah, fuck this.
Joel just keeps reloading his save. Like, over and over.
reload.
That's what I was having to do. But but like for what I was given up until that point, I really liked the game. I loved all the story aspects to it, the characters I was really vibing with, and I'm okay with Naughty Dog games. I've made through some Uncharted's, and so it's nothing new to me. Definitely similar types of gameplay, and it works enough for me. And I coming into this show, it's been a while since I've tackled Last of Us, so it wasn't like super clear the events that were going on, but as this episode was progressing, is definitely like, okay, I do remember this character, or just like I guess the motivation for character getting from A to B or whatnot. So it was kind of coming back to me. So I think that'll be fun going through it again, just like remembering what I have experienced and what I haven't. And again, because they might be going over something that I've already experienced in the game, but it's been so long, it'll probably still be fresh. So that's fun. There'll be this like, what's gonna happen next week type of feel to it. And so yeah, that's my little Last of Us spiel. But for the show itself, I don't know what it was, but coming into it, I like didn't have much hype in the sense of like, I don't know, like it wasn't like, oh man, I can't wait, HBO, like, Last of Us this weekend, like it's gonna be like, it's a big event thing, kind of like how House of the Dragons was after that first episode. I feel like leading into that first House of the Dragons episode, again, it was a similar feeling where I wasn't super hyped, but afterwards I was, and I can safely say it has me again. I'm just so blown away about I think like the quality of like just the overall like sets and like just some of like the things that were going on. It was like a full-on movie quality, and it's just like, man, like this looks really good. It doesn't look like they skimped out on like a budget where it's like, like this just looks like a random, I don't know, corner that they keep changing some like background sets to make it seem like it's a bigger world than it is. Like it really felt like I was immersed in this world of Last of Us. And yeah, I like right away I was totally just vibing with it again. Like the similar music too that like they have in this, pulled from the game too. That was a nice little like, just like, I don't like reminder of what this world is, and just bringing me back into it. So I'm very much looking forward to next week. Not really a spoiler, I guess, but like because I played the beginning of Last of Us, I kind of was prepared for a little bit of emotional stuff happening. I was like getting teary-eyed leading up to something, and then when it actually happened, I was like, oh man, that actually like shook me, because I remember the first time I played Last of Us, like how like the first 20 minutes or whatever, like I was just like in tears. I was like, man, this game really is just setting the tone, and they did it again in the show. So I think there'll be many, many more moments like that throughout the show, which just speaks to the quality, I guess, of tugging on my heartstrings. And Pedro's phenomenal. I cannot wait to get weekly Pedro in my life. So yeah, I'm pumped for these reviews.
Yeah, you're watching. You're like, maybe it'll be different this time. It'll all change and stuff like that. But, as everyone said before, or as I've said before, is it's like, it's an obvious thing. If it's your first time listening, I got a daughter named after the show, so it's not a big surprise that I'm a big fan. I'm not gonna say I'm an uber fan that's played through the game 10 million times and I'm gonna catch every little thing. So if you're looking for me to be the most knowledgeable person, that's for some YouTuber that has like a page like, here's the 85 Easter eggs you missed while watching. Like, that's not how I consume media. So sorry about that. But as far as just the story, the characters, I absolutely love this world. Some of my favorite games. So I'm excited to see the adaptation of it here. And I feel like it is kind of what they advertise. Like, you have so many, I feel like, creators that talk about this before a game. You'll get like a highlight reel of like, oh, it's so close to the game. Like, I love what they do. And then you watch, you're like, oh boy, you're just paying some lip service here. But it legitimately just feels like it's the game on screen. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because like, I think I've said this, there's going to be more people that watch a show that's probably never heard of the game, or if they have, just know, oh, it's a video game. There's so many people that aren't going to be like us, even that you guys know some story beats or tried out a bit. The majority of people that are going to latch on this, if it's a success, are the people that are watching it for the first time. So that's why I know, because I've seen that kind of criticism, like, oh, it's almost too close to the game, I can't enjoy it. But she's like, I would rather it that way, because that's the story. I know, like, there's the idea of, well, you got to change up to shock people, but the video game people are going to be in the minority, hopefully. If they're not, then the show show's just not going to be picked up and stuff like that. But no, I think they knocked it out of the park. It just felt like I said when I played the game to up there, the biggest thing is what Kirklin said. It's just Pedro, especially the first half an hour. I just feel like I was watching. They just put Joel in a simulator and he walked out and he was just there and stuff like that. And like obviously Pedro, we've talked about many things. He's a great actor and stuff. He even does good when in Mandalorian when he gets like 2 or 3 scenes with his helmet off. It's like, man, this guy can act. And like very good casting. And same thing, we get to see her a little less in this episode, so not as much, but the times we did, I think Belle Ramsey shined as Ellie. I thought she just had that attitude and spunk and just. But the good thing is, like Ellie, the thing I love about that character, she can be kind of a shithead, but it's always a lovable shithead. There's times where if you want to have a kid who's like has fun quips and is kind of an asshole, you don't want them to be annoying or be like, okay, that's just what you do. So I think they nailed the writing, the dynamic, all that. The first half an hour, it's so weird to play it in the game, but in the movie where it feels like the game it goes by quicker, but probably it's the same amount of length when you play like the game. I'd have to replay it again and see like his cutscenes and everything like that. But I loved the route they went with it. So yeah, I'm 2 thumbs all the way up, home run, whatever expression you want to use for a job. Jolly good, well done. They did it here, and I'm very excited to see what happens, and I'm very excited just to see this all like play out for the next 9 weeks. Because yeah, Superman Mike, thank you very much for 9 weeks. It is going to be on here. I'm very curious. I think it's still going to be on the Sunday, but I thought about that when I saw Emily that I guess they're going to have an episode during the Super Bowl, which it feels like very risky, but I'm going to literally have to be dual watching and stuff like that. So can't wait for
Dual
that.
wield.
Yeah. So no, great time. Very happy. So.
I don't know if this is the best place to ask this question, but do you think this, like, 9 episodes for this show, do you think it'll end, like, where, like, percentage-wise of, like, the game, like, ending-wise? I said wise a few times.
Well,
so
I mean,
don't know why, but
the length of the show is, like, the game is, like, 12 hours long, right? So it's pretty close to the season. Obviously, it's a lot different when you're doing gameplay and solving puzzles and stuff when the show's not going to have that. But it seems like it's kind of it seems almost too easy for them not to just like make it the end of season 1.
yeah. Okay.
Or at the end of the game, make the end of the season 1. That's the way I see it.
No, I think this season's the easiest one to adapt in one season. I think it's season 2, which is the biggest trouble because it has like it's a minus one, but it has lots of playing with time, lots of like this happened 10 years ago, and then now this happens currently. So that's when it's like, do they tell it in that way of like back flashbacks and forward, or do they say, okay, one season's going to be in this period, one season's going to be in the next? I think this one it will end in a very similar place because I think you could draw it out, but I think it's almost. If this was only like a 6-season like series, like season 1, then I'd say okay, you could go 1-on-1. But I think with it being 9, I think if you were to somehow end it with it not being the end of the game, it might feel too drawn out, and you might run out of things to do and stuff like that. So I think it will end very similar to the first season. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think all the episodes are going to be similar length, like an hour and 20?
I think they're all going to be an hour. Maybe the finale will be an hour 20, but I think because, well, maybe we'll get into spoilers because I think there's like the first half an hour they made it like a little extended because there's some stuff that's not in the game that's in the show, but it's like just kind of stretched. So maybe we'll do that, before we talk about that butter over too much bread scene and stuff like that. So we'll be right back. So if you've not seen Last of Us, if you're waiting for our precious and going to watch another day, we'll be here. So after this ad break, we'll be right back with some spoiler talk. So commence the ad break. And we're back and stuff like that. Yeah, I was going to say, Spubs, I've heard that a bunch of people, HBO Max was laying at 9 p.m. I'm sure numbers are going to be massive. I've seen that a bunch on my Twitter. Luckily, my Crave had no issues, but I saw a bunch of people saying their HBO was down and a site crashed that it crashed. Oh, fuck, no. A site reported that it crashed. So that's a good sign because you never know. Like, obviously, there's hype, but it's like, is that going to transition? Are people going to go check out? Because I still feel like Pedro, he's a star, but he's also not like Matthew McConaughey. And like, he's not like a mega star. Still ask our parents. They might be like, oh, the Mando guy. Or like,
The guy
what,
from
like
Triple Frontier.
Yeah.
I love
that guy.
movie.
Yeah. Or the Game of Thrones, the Viper guy. Yeah. Like, I feel like he's still on that level. So that's good that it's crashing,
I'd like to assume that the crashing is because it's just an influx of people, but I'm just gonna call it as is. Crave, HBO Max, the platform sucks. It's fucking atrocious, and the fact that it crashes does not surprise me because it crashes all the
they're
time.
They're talking about HBO Max in United States. Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
maybe that's them just kind of doing an homage to video games because games, always crashing, especially at launch when they're not patched yet. So maybe they're just trying to make it an authentic experience in that way.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about, because I suppose points out in the thing that we've all kind of dabbled in the beginning. That was the biggest thing. And I think that was a good call because I listened to your guys' Avatar review. And I know, Dylan, that was the thing you had an issue of like people just like, oh, this is someone's son and that's why they're important. And it's tough because I feel like most people, even if you've not played the game, you kind of know. Even Emily knew, like, okay, we're in spoilers now. Joel's daughter's gonna bite it, like at the very beginning here, right? Because it's like you always see Joel and Ellie, but you never see Joel and his daughter. So it's like, well, gee, wonder where his daughter is. So, but they did extend that because in the game it just picks up. There's a little quietness of it because it's the birthday, but that's right into the action. But this was like a half an hour of okay, some dynamics, the breakfast, the present. But I actually like that because if you're gonna kill the daughter off right away, it at least gives it more meaning. Because you can't, I think, dedicate a whole episode to this. Because I feel people be like, what's this show? Like, I'm not going to watch, So I think half an hour, that almost made sense why this was an hour and a half pilot versus an hour, because they wanted to spend some time there. So I thought it was a good choice.
It was perfect for them to do that because, like coming from the game, you don't have much like Joel and Sarah, I think was the daughter's
Sarah,
name.
yeah.
Like that dynamic time, but like still when she dies, like it's like it still brought me to tears. Like it's just such a heavy situation to have like so early on the show, but the fact that they go out and like just show how like nice of like a girl this like his daughter is, she's going out of her way to like get him a gift and like just seems like a super good person, like not really any like shitty qualities to her or anything like that, and just like just showing the father-daughter dynamic. And you don't get a lot with it. You mentioned it's like 30 minutes or something, but that just like it made the burn hurt so much more when she actually died there. And like I watched this episode with Shay, and I don't think she had seen like any promotional material for it at all, so she didn't even know about like Ellie or anything like that. So up until that point, like she thinks this is probably like the companion, like this is the crew going on this adventure. So she was completely shook when that happened, and like just like gut-wrenching feeling. And there's many people that I'm sure that they've probably seen Ellie on screen, but they might have thought that this was her, like just like that, I don't know, that little painful switch.
Oh yeah,
and if the word I'm looking for is eluding me, but you know what I'm saying.
if you're not following this stuff like a bunch of fans, you would just probably. I guarantee there's tons of people that don't think the daughter's dying. They think that's the girl in the poster, and they're the same way people thought Jenna or so was Ray. Like they're gonna think, oh, this is the girl that's gonna make it. So and then it's obviously not good ending for Sarah.
To me, that was like a huge testament to how good the acting is from both of their part. That, like, think about it. These two maybe were on set together for like, I don't know, production schedules. They could have been a day. Honestly, they could record everything in a single day. And the fact
2
that
to 4 days the most, probably.
Yeah, they have that chemistry together that truly felt like father-daughter. I was very, very impressed with that. They have like 5 scenes together.
Yeah.
But it feels like this relationship that's very well established, and like they have their little dynamic. They kind of rag on each other in a fun way. So to me, I think that was like maybe the most impressive thing in here.
No, I agree. Taylor, where were you at the beginning of this?
I'm actually very happy that I got to experience this in the game ahead of time, like you were alluding to, Kirklin, because when I played the game, I was bamboozled and I thought like, holy shit, like did they just like shoot Ellie? I'm so confused here and all that jazz. But in this, knowing what to expect, and just I'd love to see the side-by-side comparisons to the game and to this, and just how they have the camera angles and everything. I think it'll be kind of cool to just kind of like take that in. But I think that it is a very, very sad moment. Like you said, Dylan, the chemistry was like it was fantastic. I couldn't believe it, especially because they probably only had a limited amount of time on set together to do this. And I totally was just buying it. Like, she's totally the daughter here in the situation. She's very kind-hearted and genuine. And it's the whole thing with the opening. Well, it definitely was a little bit more dived into than what the game had, because like I suppose just the chaos kind of showing at the start of the game. I like the calm before the storm with zombie-like flicks, and with this having such a tense build up. It's quiet and you just know it's coming. For me, this is always like the equivalent of Order 66 for me, and when it's just coming, it's really brutal, because you just know when it hits it's game over. Like There's no going
Everything
back.
changes, yeah.
Everything changes when this instance hits. And I think another thing too, the interview that they did at the very beginning with the guy from The Mummy. I can't remember
Jonathan,
his name.
yeah.
fuck
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Shout
He was in
out
my
to
notes.
him, yeah. Same
As soon as
character.
I
by
heard
the
his
way.
voice, I was like Leo pointing at the camera with my drink. I was so pumped.
I remember him from my youth.
But I love that whole intro, the whole conversation, and I love how just dreadful it was, and the other doctor kind of just breezing it off. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I think it was a great conversation, and I just loved how powerful it was, and the audience just like it killed the room. And I
Another
thought
thing
that
not in
was
the
powerful.
game right there. Yeah, another
Not in the
thing that-
game,
yeah,
yeah.
which I for a second because they did Chernobyl, which is like a very historic show. I was like, man, did I click on the wrong thing for like a second? Because like it doesn't look like. But I'm like, okay, I get what they're doing here and everything. So. I want to start with you too because I feel like you're the biggest like consumer of zombies and stuff like that. So obviously we got to see a lot of in the beginning here. We didn't see much after, but for me the setup of when she's over there at those people's house, which I can't remember all their names because I don't think they're in the game if they're maybe referred to. But when you just got that old
The
lady.
Adlers.
Yeah, the Adlers, who's not moving the whole episode, and then at one point you
And the
just see her
backdrop.
Oh my! Oh yeah, great stuff. Subtle, no big music change, no jump scare or anything like that. And that's like our first like hinge of it and stuff like that. And I absolutely love that.
Also, the kid in her class who's like,
Yeah,
was cooking.
retroactively, you can look back now and look at those things like that kid. Fucking.
Yeah. Thanks for the watch keepers not even telling. Just like you gotta go home. You know, these people never say anything in these movies. They
Didn't
never
even
say,
fix the watch very well, apparently. It's still
No,
broken.
It lasted
No.
20 years, probably.
No, it was fixed, Taylor. He was joking that it was broken.
No, I meant like his Ellie was
with
like, oh, it's
Ellie.
broken. Yeah.
Just dickhead, dead daughter fix that watch. Yeah. But
Oh my god.
how are you feeling about the like? Because you play the games, but how where are these on the zombie scales for you? Because like I said, you're a big zombie connoisseur. You know the clickers.
The clickers, yeah. I like the different categories of zombies. You got the basic ones that are the decomposing deadites, the usual go-tos that you see. And then you have the reanimated like rabies infection. These are the rabid ones that you see, your World War Z, 28 Days. And then you got like the fungal versions like these guys. And I like how each different one has different examples here. And this is something, I've done a Cryptic Clues on this sort of, but just the notion of ants, how they brought in that fungi discussion and how ants have to face this thing where a fungi will take over ants and like mutate them and they just it's a zombie case with ants. And I think it's very interesting how they adapted that into zombies for humans. So I definitely put these things up there because when the old lady is like leaning back and I couldn't tell if she was eating the hair of the woman, but it was just the fungal
fucking
infection
A
gross.
coming
little
out of their
combo.
mouth.
There's definitely some hair and some fungi.
There was some hair in there. Yeah, it's just so brutal and gross. And yeah, I'm all for it. Madison definitely looked away at that scene.
Yeah.
That's where I thought I was gonna lose Shay. She was like entering the house, and she's like, "I don't think I'm gonna watch the show with you." And I'm like, "No, this is like these scenes are few and far between. It's mostly about the characters." Luckily, it wasn't that extended of a scene. I think she was ready to pull the plug though. But
There's
Stop
really
you
not
from
much of
watching.
it. There's not much of it in the first
No, yeah.
episode because like we still had the kids in there and they watched some Bluey and stuff like that. But really like that, and then when we lose Sarah, the rest of the episode is this.
Yeah.
It's superhero. It's an explosion action. There's some punch. Like it's
Yeah.
nothing that bad. So because I think even the show. I guess Crave it's different in Canada. It said 14 plus, but I imagine in America it's probably rated R. I guess Americans in the chat let us know, but I was like 14 plus. Like the game's definitely a M-rated game, but
Yeah.
I guess Canada we're a little skewed.
I gotta ask you guys when Joel is holding Sarah and he's running through and he sees like that group of them all on the ground and they're just feasting and then they like run through that restaurant and the one guy's chasing them. Me and Mud's just like cracked up laughing. The guy that would just like smash into the different like trays of like dishes and stuff and knocking over plates and whatnot. It was like hilarious to
That
me. Even
stunt
though
guy
that
committed.
scene was very intense at
Yeah.
at the start. Oh my god, my words here. But when he was tripping over stuff and smashing into things, I was laughing, and I don't think that's what it wanted from me. But I don't know. Did you guys have that too, or were you just so invested in the thrill of it?
I felt extremely vulnerable from Sarah's point of view because she can't move. She's immobile, and like the way she's held, she's looking in behind, and you see this dead thing with no remorse or relent, just going after them.
And
So
her
I was
36-year-old father is running at like a snail's pace. You know, I'm just gonna say like they aged him down for the beginning of the show. And it's like you run a little faster here, Joe. No, I didn't take me out. It took me out of it not in a comedic way, but I did think of like man, these things aren't that effective unless they're in an open field, because like if there's a corner, man, the clickers are just they're tripping shit. Like
They're not good at turning on, on a
they're like
dime.
Zoolander can't turn left. Like there's so many times like the door he hit the corner, you set the place, and then same thing when he got out, like he is all over. So you just gotta be in a maze, you can take these things out. So it didn't take me out a comedic way, but it took me in a thought way of like, okay, these things aren't as bad as long as you can like have, but once you're in open field, then there's nothing to dive at and stuff. But yeah, that stunt guy, he committed. They paid they got good money at him. He's jumping all over the place, running in the glass and dishes.
Yeah,
you know.
solid stunt man there.
Yeah, solid stunt man. Yeah, and Taylor, you forgot to mention Invisible Zombies. That will soon appear in the GeekVerse movie one day that we talked about on Patreon. Remember, Invisible Zombies.
Invisible Zombies. Oh yes,
Yeah,
can't forget
the
Invisible
big-
Zombies.
You gotta-
Actually,
you gotta be
we should
careful
actually
of
stop
those.
saying that. I'm gonna add that out. We don't want people to
Yeah.
take that. You know, so the lowest budget
It's a good
zombie
idea.
film. Yeah.
A couple other things I really liked about that sequence, because I love that, like from the moment, I mean pretty much the whole thing, honestly, that whole opening sequence. But when they get in the car and they start driving, and they get to that highway that's all backed up, and they're driving through the field and all that, when they get into the city itself,
Oh, yeah.
and there's people everywhere, and like whatever it is, it's like some movie theater or something, like all the, like the window busts and then like 30 people come rushing out. All of that was fantastic. But I loved the effect on the airplane coming down and crashing. That was great. That was like just the build up of that, I thought was pretty fantastic. And then it obviously fades to black, and then we go into the next sequence. But I love
it
the
doesn't look
franticness of all that.
And it doesn't look cheap either. It's no log truck. Like it looks
Yeah.
like like obviously they didn't get super close.
Classic
to blankets.
nighttime makes
Yeah,
all
it
that
helps
stuff
when
look
it's
way
nighttime,
better.
Yeah, Moon Knight. Next time you do a log truck, put it at nighttime.
Unless you're
like,
Jordan Peele, and then you can do it during the day.
Yeah, like that's where it's like, okay, the plane doesn't get close enough, but it gets close enough that it feels just even the sound of when they're driving and just like it's just loud above them. And Tommy's like, what the hell? And they like look up and there's just like multiple planes just like, I don't know, 10, 15 feet above them. It's just like complete chaos and just
Yeah.
awful.
I yeah, like you said, I love the franticness of that moment, I guess, when they're entering the city and there's just people getting, you don't even know who's like infected or who's not. Like it's just absolute chaos. I will say though, like one negative of that scene is they had and this might have like helped hide some of like the CGI, which just made it look better, but like they had like the camera from kind of Sarah's perspective from like the back seat. I found it so disorienting. I was getting like motion set. I like couldn't even look at the screen. It was just so like shaky cam, and
Yeah.
I felt like it went on like a few seconds longer than it should have been, but yeah, it was just like right away. I was like, oh man, like this is super blurry, and like I cannot look at the screen right now. So that took me out of it a little bit. I wish they just chose like the camera angle from like a different perspective there, but again, maybe it's just to hide the CGI, like I said, or maybe just to stress like this is chaos. This this is
bumping,
absolute.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
I had that in my notes too, like lots of shaky cam, just all over the show is shaky cam, which generally is something I don't love. So I'll see how much it kind of goes forward with that. But to that point, like I wasn't a huge fan of that camera angle either, but I feel like what the show was trying to do, and I think this probably works better for people not like us who don't know what's going to happen to Sarah, is that they were really trying to frame that opening sequence as like from her perspective. You know, you go to school with her, she's at home, and like Joel is gone and he comes back later kind of thing. And so I think you also put the camera back there. Once again, they're just trying to make it seem like everything's kind of from her point of view. But I hear you. From the cinematography of it, wasn't the best clarity. It didn't actually bother me so much. There was more so just the shaky cam than the camera angle for me.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's what says the same camera angle from the car. If you do a side by side of the Sarah's death scene with the show and the game, they're exactly like later on when Ellie and Joel are talking the way she's sitting, and that's where it is interesting. I always thought about that because Neil Druckmann in the credits, his name's all over this thing, which is good for him. You know, he created a game that's very special to him. But I wonder how it works with the creators, because it's not so much like again, like you're adapting, like remaking something or a comic book or a book where you can take changes when you're making the show, but it's literally like, okay, what's the shot? It's like, well, we're going to make the shot like exactly like the game, like, and that's a lot of the show, and that's like I think a good thing for people that haven't seen it. But I just wonder, as like the creators on the show, obviously I'm sure it worked, and I'm sure they'll be back for season 2, but I just wonder how that process was, because usually you're storyboarding, what's it gonna look like, what shot are we gonna do, and is it a case where they go to do that car scene and Neil's like, no, it's gonna be like this, like it's gonna, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's how it is in the game. So that's what's like, and I think it's gonna be like that for most of the show. So it's interesting to feel it's very similar. People talk about like MCU and directors get in, in there, and movies are already like storyboarded before they even get there. Like, this is what you're shooting, and this is the plan and stuff like that. So it's very similar in that route of they have it laid out of what you're going to be shooting, I guess, right? So
I almost feel like it's the opposite because most of the game, like whatever 90% of it or something, it would be from that third person behind the shoulder perspective, which shows never really do that. Shows
I
movies
guess
don't
just
really
the
do
key
that.
moments, so like the cut scenes, right? Like
For like
Sarah's
certain
dad.
those classic Naughty Dog set piece moments, they
Yeah.
might opt to do that more, which I think is cool because it's like a bit of homage in that sequence, but you're obviously not going to be able to overdo that just because of the quantity of scenes that will be. But yeah, especially for like even those more cutscene-y things where characters are talking and eating up the scenery in different ways. Yeah, I wonder if when we get to some of those moments, if they'll be shot similarly as well, or if it was just like, I don't know, a simple homage from a backseat camera like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think I didn't say. I loved the opening. I knew exactly what was going to happen, but I felt tense during it. I'm like, why am I feeling this? I know it's all going to go bad. I know Sarah's going to die and stuff like that. Great dog actor. Whatever dog they had, that dog was fantastic.
Mercy.
The
Yeah.
jumping, the like pulling, everything like that. Shout out to whatever that dog was. Good job. Hopefully, I don't think they made it 20 years later, I guess. But
What would you guys go into a house if the dog was acting like that?
No, but I'm not also like a 12 to 14-year-old girl, right? So it's one of these things of like,
true.
there's people in there you care about. You're wondering what's going on.
I will say, like, they instilled that she was, again, exceedingly intelligent, I felt like, from the moment we met her. And so when all of a sudden we have this situation where she sees the dog being very out of character looking at the older woman, and then now this, like, that was where it actually felt like, okay, this seems like the twist. I thought it was uncharacteristic of her to actually ignore what the dog was doing and go into the house. But I get it's story and plot.
The way I took it was just like, what could possibly be going on? Like from her perspective,
Yeah,
like
she's so
never
curious.
gonna
Yeah.
think
She's
that
hearing
there's
stuff.
zombies or something. Like that's
Yeah.
never gonna cross her mind. It's just like, okay, there's helicopters. It's 2 a.m. Like, where's my dad? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
And then you
she
just
did.
kinda
Yeah,
like,
that's true. I want obviously if Joel's there, he would have said no. But that is, I think, another thing that because Joel wasn't there, and there was not even a note of like, I'm going to get your uncle.
Yeah.
Like, if she just woke up at 2 a.m. and he's gone. And that would be, and he's gone, and like like helicopters are going over and stuff. And I loved everything in there. I love when. This is where I felt like Joel, like I was seeing just Pedro be Joel. Those people come out and he's like, just get the fuck. It's like he's telling them like, stay inside, whatever you do. And then he's driving, they run over that people, and the neighbor's like, Joel, what the hell's wrong with you?
Denise, get back in the house.
Yeah, but then as they're yelling that after they got ran over in the background, I love they had that green light and they show those neighbors that were yelling at them get eaten up, and that's where he's like, you should have stayed in the house. But I love that they first before they died, they thought Joel was just running people over, and then they turned and a zombie killed them. Like, just such a fun thing. And then like obviously this is gonna dictate a lot of the rest of the series, but man, it's a cold moment. But I love there's that family and the kids, and Tommy's like, they got a kid. He's like, yeah, so do we. Someone, and I love, he's like, yes, someone else will get him. It's like, will someone else get him? Like, even the daughter, Sarah's like, they can go in the back of the truck. But no, he's just clear, like, we're going forward. And I love that whole sequence of try to feel like that feels very also like just video gamey when we like, even we play Call of Duty, like, okay, go this way. Oh, no, you got to back up. Like, I loved that.
Someone else
aspect
will pick him up.
Yeah,
Leave us behind.
Look, I jumped out. Grab me. Someone else will grab him.
Yeah. So I loved everything. And then just like how it goes from a few cars to police to like a highway back up to them when they turn, it just fucking boom, army, helicopters, like hazmat nets and everything. It's like, oh, it just escalates like so good. And I imagine too, I imagine people that have no idea what's coming, they know it's like a zombie show, but I think that's even better if you had no idea what's coming because it's just boom, boom. So everything about that opening, I was a big fan of.
One just very good kind of game. I don't know if this actually happens in the game, but it feels very video gamey. It's like they get separated behind this
100%.
car that
Oh,
like
yeah.
powers into each other, and of course
to the
like
river.
they're
I'll meet you
trying
there.
to stay back from it, right? Because it could explode at any second. But it's like,
Yeah.
dude, just climb over the fucking car. Like there's no invisible wall there, man.
Especially-
so I
yeah.
actually kind of liked that. I don't know if it breaks the realism a bit, but I liked it as it like that feels like a video gamey thing, and I enjoyed that.
100%. I made the exact same observation to Shay, because Shay's like, why doesn't he just like go around the car
Yeah.
or climb
And they're
over?
trying to
I'm
shoot
like,
it in a way where it like looks like
Yeah.
the wall of like like Helm's Deep. Like, oh, he can't get over like an
literally,
impossible
yeah.
weight or what is it, massive talent. Like it looks like that wall where it's like, oh, they can't get over. Even the car to right is not really on fire that much. It's like Tommy, just go. But like Dylan said, the implication is, well, it could explode, so you don't want to climb over it, right?
It
So-
felt exactly when you go from like a mini cutscene to like just back into like the action. You have your new checkpoint, you know, like you gotta go and like
Yeah.
meet Tommy at the river. So and I'm like,
New objective. It pops
Yeah.
up in the top
Yeah.
left corner.
but like you said, Dylan, like it is like it kind of breaks like the realism there, but at the same time, it's just like I really like this. Like this feels video gamey, but not so much like something like Free Guy or Jumanji, where it's really trying to like.
yeah.
You know, like to the extremes
Invoke
of
that,
making,
yeah.
exactly. So I really, really like that moment. And then just what you said also earlier, Travis, about them leaving the family. That's just such a great, like, expect more of this to come, you know? Like,
Oh,
if you don't
yeah.
know what to expect from a show like this, there's going to be a lot of hard decisions that our protagonist is going to be making that you're probably not going to like them making. Because in
And
that moment, it's like, I don't know. I probably would have just thrown them in the back of the car, but I don't know. I guess I don't know.
But-
Maybe
and
I would
that's-
have gotten eaten.
Well, and that's when and that's where, because me and Emma were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Like, remember how we used to watch Walking Dead every Sunday? Love it. So hopefully, like for you, it'll be back. And I think that's when Walking Dead was its best, when it puts characters in those situations that you have to go, okay, what would I do? Not an easy like, oh, this
Yeah.
walker and I have to fight. It's okay. Clearly, you're gonna try your best to fight the zombie. Like that can be exciting. You can make an action scene, but stuff like that when you're driving by, of course, a good person, you're like, yeah, I would stop. But it's like, okay, but would I stop? Because if that person's infected and they just completely take over this car and kill me, my brother, my daughter, like, now would I, like, in this situation where you don't know what's going on? And that's what I love. And I feel like between that and a few stuff we happen later on, and Ellie a little bit, because we'll see more of her, but I feel at least with Joel in the first episode, if you're new to the character of Joel, you know exactly like what that character, you know how he operates. You know, I think they did a good job of highlighting him as, you know, I consider him in the first game the main antagonist. I know, like, it's a duo, but like I think they did a good job of cementing, okay, this is who Joel is, and you know, and you understand also too when he loses Sarah how like it's probably going to get worse, even more protective stuff like that. So I thought through the beginning and throughout they did a good job of setting that character up for the show. So
Totally.
and my only thing I had to shout from the beginning is when they watched that movie, Curtis and the Viper 2. That's a Last of Us 2 Easter eggs. That's why my name is the Viper, but it's not just because he was the Viper in Game of Thrones. That's a movie that he was talking to Ellie about like, oh, I love this movie and stuff like that. So it's another video game Easter egg, and I'm sure there's going to be tons and stuff of those. But
Yeah.
fun little one there.
I
So.
thought it was a video game Easter egg because it felt like there was a big focus on it.
Yeah, it felt like a light was shining, and that's like, oh, I remember this.
with the deleted scenes.
So anything on the opening or first 30 minutes? that we haven't covered?
I will say that the kind of before everything we're talking about, the opening credits. God, I am so sick of this fucking template.
Game of
opening
Thrones.
Credits.
Game of Thrones, HBO
Every
template,
single
yeah.
thing. Yeah, I think I think what happened is like that Game of Thrones one, that show is so popular.
Yeah.
And then like everyone started hiring that studio that made that, and you just get the same fucking cookie cutter thing. And like as soon as it's over, I said to Muds like, I will never watch it again in my life. Happily, there was no substance in that whatsoever. I hate it. So that's just my general thing. I feel like shows have gotten so lazy with this, and probably because it's a different world we live in now. Streaming services where there is a skip intro button, and most people are going to click that anyway. Like, why would you put tons of money and thought into making a thoughtful intro if most people aren't going to utilize it or watch it? And so I get that, but man, I don't know. I'm just so sick of this same thing over and over and over again every TV show.
It made me laugh. It was like so like I was expecting the music of Game of Thrones to start playing because it's the exact same music they had in House of the Dragon. House of the
Yeah.
Dragon, it was like the exact same intro as well. And yeah, it's just like every HBO show. Like fuck, they probably had it for White Lotus.
They
and
do
I
the
just am
same.
Not aware.
They do the same for National Treasure and Disney Plus. Same intro.
Nice,
funny.
Yeah. No, I think it's fine as like a one-time thing, but it doesn't stand out. At least with Game of Thrones, I have fun. Like, oh, it's the map, and it shows different like sections, and then eventually you're over it. But still, it's like the theme, and the theme's like fine. It fits with like the music. I agree with Kirklin. You said in your opening, it's like the music feels very much like the video game. Lots of
The
strings,
guitar,
lots
yeah.
of guitars,
Oh, yeah.
acoustics going on, very quiet sounds and stuff like that, like soothing. I can't wait for Ambience World to get his hand on this and make me a nice Ambient World Last of Us track. But
Might just be like a clicker track. Just
yeah.
Click,
Sarah, no!
Turn it down on the radio.
Mercy bar. Yeah, click, boo! The saliva. They just get in the car and like, Tommy, why are you blaring saliva going on and everything like that? But yeah.
I got a couple last things for the opening.
Yeah.
When that scene that Sarah is very, very sketchily investigating the Adler's house when it's just like pitch black. This was a moment I actually just like, I'm not gonna say I burst out laughing, but I laughed out loud when she turns the corner. There's just like the dude fucking looks terrible and all he says is help me. It's like, okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm fucking running for the door. I don't care how nice of a neighbor this guy is. Like, I am not gonna stick around. This guy is fucked. But yeah, just that one moment, he's just like sees this little girl. It's like, help me.
At least he like alluded with his eyes what was going on.
Yeah.
Though, right? He gave her like
Yeah,
a little
that's
like,
fair.
oh, so at least that happened. He didn't just like, but yeah, no, I would have been out of there. I just even liked though when she was walking around the house, the subtle like she stepped down just like the slip of her foot into blood. Well,
Yeah.
again, no jump scare, just a quick like she lost her footing, she didn't fall or anything. I like the way this is going so far as the reveals. It's not over like, oh, we're gonna play loud music and you're gonna be scared of this. Like, no, just
Yeah.
this old lady snacking on this woman very slowly is enough for me.
With her
Mhm.
fucking fur mouth, whatever the hell is
Mhm.
going on there, and like the scene you already talked about when Ellie was in the room, and then you just see like behind like the grandma do something
Oh my
weird.
god, yeah.
That was like straight out of The Conjuring or something. Honestly,
That's
like,
Ari
or, like,
Aster, Hereditary.
Yeah.
Don't play the clip. Put your finger down. Don't even play
I'm not
the
doing
mom
it.
climbing
I'm
on
not
the
doing
walls.
it.
I know Taylor is like, searching for it, but like that's my favorite type is when it's happening, but you're like, what is?
Ugh.
Yeah.
And like it's so funny because like I didn't tell Shay really much about this show. It's just The Last of Us. You're gonna watch it with me, Pedro Pascal. Let's watch it. We're watching that scene's on, and she's like, "Is this a scary show?" I'm like, nah, no.
Action
maybe,
adventure.
maybe there's some infection. It's all about the characters,
Yeah. Okay, well, let's take our second ad break, and then we'll get into the present day stuff. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So we jump. We get the classic. What every movie and TV show does: fade to black. 20 years later and stuff like that. Which, because I was wondering, because Sarah's talking to Joel, and she's like, "Yeah, you're 36 years old." I'm like, Pedro's not 36 years old. But then they jump, and now he's like 10 years older than he was. So, but I think it kind of works. It's like he's an older guy, so he can like, as a real life person, move around. Where in a video game, you can play a 56-year-old and just be like kicking ass for days and stuff like that. But yeah, we jump ahead. We're in Boston still. Everything's gone to shit. Buildings collapse. Like everything you think about the apocalypse and stuff. We get back to Joel, who has literally the worst job you could probably ever think of, where he's just burning infected bodies and stuff like that. Heartbreaking scene when he just asks if there's like anything else he can do, and the guy's like, "Sorry, no, you're doing this for a few more shifts." And I think about this all the time, but it just hit me here. It's like, man, I don't want anything ever post-apocalyptic to happen to me. I could never think about like I know it sounds funny, but just that mind for like, imagine just going from the life you have now to like that, and just saying like, man, I could not, I can't even fathom of like, and I think that's where it did good of like, it felt like these people now, it's not right after the infection, it's 20 years later, so they're like living with it, so clearly it's a danger, but I like that it is a bunch of time has passed, and now it's just unfortunately the way of life. Like this is a general daily thing where you're just burning women, men, children to just clean the area, and just everything look depressing and sad, and obviously like he has Tess, so he has someone he's with now, but it's like what is the light at the end of the tire, so end of the tunnel. So I think they did a
Light
good
at
job.
the end of the tire.
Show that tire again. But no, I think they did a good job of just setting up, okay, it's 20 years later and everything's just super dire and depressing and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think they did a really good job at capturing just that overall dread that like everyone is just dealing. Like nobody, like even if you're a guard and you have a gun in your hand, like you're not really happy. Like it's just so depressing. Like
there's not a smile in sight.
they have some sort of structure with like what are they called, the FE something, whatever the government's that's in charge. Like they have the organization and then some sort of structure with people working or whatnot. But yeah, it's public order is not super high there, and I think even just having like that kid approaching like the city, I thought that was again like another really well done sequence where it just, I don't know, it like gut checked you, because it's like also like when they have like the little infection checker thing. In my mind, I think like if you're getting tested and it goes red, it probably means that it tested negative. So she's like super happy, giving him like a shot. We're gonna give you food. I'm like, no, it's good. Like it's all fine. Shay thinks that, they're just gonna kill the kid. I'm like, no, there's no way that's gonna happen. In the next scene, you see the shoes. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, never mind. I'm all
Kirkland
sad
thinks
again.
he's getting all the toys, whatever he wants to eat.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take a shot. Yeah. I mean, at least you don't really suffer, I guess. Hopefully they died pretty quick.
That
but
woman's poker face was on point. Like she convinced me. Like
she
that
convinced
kid.
me. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. 'Cause
Oh,
she
wow.
sees it's negative. I'm like, oh, she's all happy. This is awesome. This is gonna be a
Gullible.
protagonist character, I'm sure.
The thing that was throwing me off is the way the kid, like, brown hair, kind of like wearing the red shirt. I'm like, okay, is this Ellie? And then we're gonna like skip
Yeah.
a few years forward too, because I know this is not the actress for Ellie. So I was quite confused by that. So that's what I thought was going on there. And okay, I was gonna maybe say something about Ellie's character that I know from the game, so I'll avoid saying that. But I was a bit confused by that sequence. But then, yeah, he just fucking picks her up and throws her in the fire, and it's like, Jesus, that is a pretty bleak world we're living in here. So they did a good job of, I think, setting up that society and just giving you just an ounce of world building of them kind of living in these small, cut off streets, and you see, I think the panning shot they had from above. And you just still see like all the mess of all the buildings still, and this is the dire, bleak place where everyone has to live still. So I like the setting of this Boston, even if we're not going to really spend any more time here. I liked it for this one episode at least. They like put a lot of budget and thought into this location that we're probably not going to see again, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, maybe they go back there. I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. You never know where we could end up in this world. But I had to bring up this, you guys. I suppose like brings up the toys. Once you heard the toys, that didn't convince you either. That this kid's gonna get a bunch of toys, and you thought
Dude,
They got electricity and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Toys.
there was a helicopter too.
They got
They're still doing good.
I didn't see
Oxycontin.
any
They got
toy-
alcohol.
yeah.
I'm sure
This
they got
kid
a fucking.
is an age where they would have never seen a Toys R Us, so their concept of what a toy is like
That's
probably
fair.
a stick and a rock, So
They're
Yeah,
born in the
no.
apocalypse. They don't know what's
What
about the Black Series figures or anything like that.
what year do you think it is that people get back together and be like, we need some drugs again? Like what like into the like app
Like 2 weeks into
10
it.
seconds in, yeah.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's to me, and that's what I liked about too. To me, like 20 years actually felt like a reasonable amount because I don't agree. I think it'd be a couple years. I think it'd be like you would just be on the run constantly. I think it would be like once things simmered down, that's when you'd be like, man, whether it's you used to be a drug addict, whether it's like Joel said of like the more people you kill, the more sleep you need and stuff like that. Like I think it would be something more like down the line, but it's just funny that that's how they're using. And they got this money. They're dealing with cigarettes, and I like that all this like currency and stuff like that. Joel skips the line because he has like a cigarette for the radio guy and stuff. So I love just these like anything's that reminds me a lot of the video game where it's just like obviously you'll like use it to make things and stuff, but you'll just collect a bunch of crap in the video game, and that's what I liked here, where it's just like, well, this might be useful for somebody, so you'll find a way to barter your way. So I like that aspect.
And every zombie survival game I've played, cigarettes have very high value, I guess you'd call it. Coffee as well. I remember that one.
yeah, and Fallout, the pack of cigarettes, so that's like a clean 30 caps right there.
30 caps, yeah.
30 cats.
One thing I want to mention too with Joel just being the body burner or whatnot. He's like a construction guy or something. It seemed like they were alluding to that he was like a veteran or something, like with the bumper sticker on his truck, or maybe that was Tommy's truck. I can't quite remember. It might have been Tommy's truck.
I can't remember because Tommy was driving, but Joel picked him up, so I feel like it was Joel's truck. But
Whatever the case is, Joel, he seems like he's a little bit...
He can handle himself.
Yeah, grizzled or whatnot.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just so much more so, like, 20 years later from, like, where he lost his daughter. Like you can just, like him, like, disposing of these bodies. It's not even, like, it's not, like, damaging his mental. He's just able to, like focus on kind of what he has to do. Like he is really... just like chiseled to like living and like surviving in this world, and I believe that this character is not only like able to survive in a world like this, but like he imposes fear on like that Robert character or like other people or that one Firefly guy that came up and was about to drop that line of the light in the darkness or whatever. He's like, I'll break your jaw if you say that. I again, that's another reason why I just can't wait to see more Joel, more so than it's just being Pedro Pascal. And again, it leans into how perfect of a casting it is, because from episode 1, like Travis already said, like it seemed like they just put in some computer codes and just got a live action Joel like on screen. Like it's just very, very well casted.
Okay, I'll bring up one of my nitpicks here. This is kind of
let's
like
get to
just some of the editing choices have been a bit strange to me. One example is when Joel is like falling asleep, and then he like there's like a little, I don't know if it was unclear to me if this is like a vision, a flashback, if he just was so zoned out. But then like Tess like gets in the bed with him, and then it like cuts again, and then he gets up out of bed, and then she's like over in the kitchen. It was just odd. I don't even know what to say about it. It was just strange.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say that particular sequence. The way I took it was, I mean, he's like drinking alcohol, and then he just has like 4 oxys that he just like pounds back, and right away Shane and I are like, okay, that's not a good mixture. Alcohol, just 4 oxys or whatnot. And then the way I took it is that
You
he
don't
just like
care.
kind of blacks out, like it,
Yeah.
like the reason why it just like jolts like that. Like he's not
Right.
even dreaming or anything. Like it's just all of a sudden you're just hours have gone by. At least that's the way I took it. But no, you're not wrong.
I think,
it was
I think that's what's
kinda
going
confusing.
on, but it was just the editing of it was kind of choppy. And I also felt that similarly, like going back to earlier when Sarah falls asleep and then like shows like 11 o'clock on her
Oh yeah.
her thing, and then she like rolls over, and then it's like 2. Just I don't know. There's just some strange little editing moments that like it feels a little choppy at points. And then one thing I didn't really like, I just felt like it was a bit on the nose. Was well, pretty much like right at the end of the episode. When the guard is pointing the gun at them, and then he has like the flashback of Sarah, and then he like goes like bear, scary mode, and like
Oh, yeah.
fucks them up. I felt like the flashback was like a bit like, okay, we just saw this like a half an hour ago. I don't know if we need to be reminded of why someone pointing a gun at him would like put him into a state where he's uneasy and there's a kid around and stuff. So I don't know, just a couple choices like that. I feel like they were being a bit too like on the nose with what was going on there. But I mean, that's like, those are like my biggest criticisms, which are like kind of just random little things. So I think it just goes to show that this is a pretty solid episode overall.
No, I think I agree with both. The bed one was weird because it's like him waking up and seeing Tess in the the kitchen. We're gonna get it. We're gonna like she doesn't need to crawl in the bed and like snuggle. Like we'll get that they're an
Spoon
item.
him,
Yeah, I agree with the
Rub his
gun thing
nipples.
of like if it was a couple episodes, sure, to like flash back to Sarah because maybe you've forgotten 3 weeks ago what happened to his daughter. But it's like it was like a very I understand. It's just so funny because he is the Mandalorian. Everyone was making those jokes of just like Mando would have unnecessary flashbacks, and that's what like this felt like too. Of like, we gotta do this. His drum is oxycontin, just cracking those pills.
The
But
Anvil.
yeah, no, I could agree with those. Like, I could agree that
Yeah.
they didn't take away, but they just weren't needed. So it was a weird choice. It's like someone was in there like, oh, they're not going to understand that this is,
Yeah.
it's invoking the Sarah. And same thing, like, well, if we don't see Tess snuggle with him, they're not going to understand that they're an item. It's like, they're living together. They're like, we're going to know, they make them
Yeah.
kiss somewhere else and stuff like that. It was both things that weren't needed, you know?
It's very much like looking out for the lowest common denominator. Some person's like, "Oh, why is he mad at that guard? I thought they were buddies." You know, like to just like have no chances of that happening. But yeah, no, that's a fair observation, I guess, to make. And because like even like before that flashback even happened, like Shay right away was just like, "Oh, this is like just like like what happened earlier."
Pedro's
And then
doing
they
it. You
showed
hired
us, yeah.
Pedro. Yeah, let
Yeah.
him work. We get it, you know? Like
Yeah.
Oh man, what about you, Taylor? What have you thought about some of the present day stuff?
You mentioned it earlier, just how like it's like it's not good. It's not good conditions, and just kind of like live in that kind of a world and everything like that.
Would you
And
be
I
on
think,
the shit crew with him in the sewers, Taylor? Where would you be working?
well, I want to know exactly how this currency exchange rate goes and what they're actually able to get with this monetary like rack cards
Yeah,
or
the
whatever they're
tickets.
using. The tickets, yeah. So I saw shoelaces, but I don't know exactly like tomato, like what's going on here. So
Save those shoelaces, kid, for the post-apocalypse. You got a shoelace, like, and I guess they would be handy, right? Because if you're
Strangling people.
well, yes, but I was more just like if a shoelace breaks, you're legitimately getting a new shoelace, right? And there's no stores mass producing these things, so like it would be
fair.
a currency of like, hey, I'll give you a shoelace for I don't know, rug and tug, I don't know.
Get the Velcros. Get the Velcro shoes, kids.
Yeah, I got some Velcro strips for you.
But yeah, I just think that I'm the kind of person I feel like this. It's a pretty good interpretation, reflection. Like
Okay,
when
that's
shit
what
hits the fan, I think that this would be a very like it wouldn't take long for the world to kind of get like this, and it would be dreary and miserable. I think that the way they kind of like showcased the city of Boston, everything was really, really well done. Having that kid come in and just be infected and killed, very, very sad. I just think that getting to kind of understand the world more so that than the games, because I can't remember exactly how the games really painted this world and what Joel was doing
pretty
here
similar.
working. It was
Yeah.
similar. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the Fireflies, that was another thing that I was familiar with, but not exceptionally like well versed on it. And I feel like the games maybe painted them as a little bit more extremist, and this is making them seem a little bit more like the Rebel Alliance.
I think that part is a little. It's funny how
Rebel scum.
the beginning of the like Sarah's death, everything that feels a bit expanded, where this feels a bit more smaller or more quicker to the point and stuff like that. Because I feel like in between, like even that beginning where we had the talk show, I don't think in the first little bit of the game they lay everything out, but I feel like there's more world building, and I feel like in a movie or a show where you can like shoot some stuff, show some quick conversations, in the game I feel like it's a lot of Joel walking around and getting fed this information or told this and stuff. So I feel like this section is fastened up a lot. And I just feel like they wanted the episode 1 to end with Ellie and him on the adventure and the Ellie reveal and stuff. So I feel like that was probably a smart choice. It is a lot quick because not the test thing is fine with me. It's more so like they established to me Fireflies are here, but they're, like you said, like are they extremists or rebels? They don't really talk about that too much. I think a few people are saying, okay, they're like terrorists in a way. But then when he meets someone that's leading a Firefly thing, Joel's like very quickly fine with it. And it's like, well, I'm shot. You got to take like that. I think moves very quickly. I'm fine with it because we have lots to go. And it's like, let's just kind of get on, like the meat of the show and the game is on the adventure, right? So the setup is not the exciting part, but it's just like for meeting Ellie, the Fireflies, to them meeting, to the battery, it's all very compacted. Where I think in the game, because like what Dylan talked about, it would be a lot more of you walking with Joel's perspective and you're walking around. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this takes a lot longer. But I imagine if you pare just the cutscenes down, that probably would be a similar route, maybe. I don't know. So,
Well, yeah, another thing too, correct me if I'm wrong here, at least from thinking back however long ago it was when I played the game, but like you don't actually see like the Ellie and the Firefly interaction, right? Like it's just Joel and Tess, and then
Yeah, I don't
you
think
like
so,
meet them,
no.
and it's like, yeah, this is who you're taking, like this is your cargo or whatever. Like you don't actually have like Ellie chained up and like having that conversation with Marlene or anything, right?
well, yeah, because also in the game, when you find out the like what Ellie's thing is, she tells you, and it happens off screen. Where I feel like they already, I mean, it's tough because we've played the game, we know what Ellie's condition is, but I feel like they already like insinuate heavy by the time Ellie even meets Joel. So it feels
Yeah.
like something. Like they're like special girl. Like in the game, it's very much just like it's like precious cargo, but it's just like get this girl from point A to point B. But literally around people, they're like, hey, this is very important that she, like I think they maybe stress it a bit too much in the show of like she has to get there. And it's just like, okay, they're gonna ask some questions of her, everything like that. And yeah, Superbad, my good point, where at this point Joel has murdered dozens of people and stuff like that. And that's where it's like, right, you have to have the in between of like the battery scene, stuff of that. But we don't need that yet. Joel's gonna murder a bunch of people. We'll get there. You know, there's tons
Over
of
that battery, fucking rights. That was a
Yeah, it was a
brutal
shit
scam.
battery.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even
but-
just like the quantity of people that you would kill in the game versus the show, it
Yes.
would feel very jarring if they matched that 1-to-1, right? In game, you
It's
you
just
gotta
John Wick.
you gotta have these big. Yeah, exactly. He's probably killed more people than John Wick. Than John Wick did, right? But that would not feel right watching the show like
Yeah.
this. I that was a good point you brought up, Travis. 'Cause I felt like that was something that that's like a detail I don't really know about, like how close he is with the Fireflies in that relationship. And I felt like, okay, this is a ton of trust that they're putting in Joel. So
Yeah.
obviously there must be a really well established relationship here. They've done some quests together, to use the video game verbiage. But I did not really get that. The way Joel and Sarah's like relationship was so well established just by the acting immediately. I was not getting that from that Firefly scene in the hallway. It was a bit strange as well. So I'm sure we'll get backfilled with a lot of that content. And it makes sense what you're saying, Travis. Like they really wanted you to get to that moment where they're outside the city walls and they're together by the end of
Yeah.
the first episode. So with that, it does make sense, and we can do flashbacks to get that stuff in the future. And I think I'll be okay with it. But yeah, for now, it's like that is one thing I'm looking for. Is I need a bit more explanation on that.
The only tie there is that they know each other's name. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess they know each other, and like that's kind of what you're running with. I think something that helps at least me is that like she was bleeding out. Like they were so desperate for something like that to someone that they at least know to take Ellie, as opposed to some of the military crew. So and again, because I kind of experienced this already with the game. Like I was able to kind of look past that. But yeah, I am curious for someone that's never experienced that before if that would be more jarring for them. But
It feels very I feel like it feels very fast. I did like the dig when she's like, yeah, take your time, but I'm bleeding out here. Like they were trying
Yeah.
to get pressure on it, but it did just feel like a little just too made up on the spot. And even then, that's just from, I feel like, a pacing thing of Ellie's in this room. They just had a conversation to cut to. Bunch of people are dead. And now this adventure ensues. I did like her friend being like, I'll take her. And she's like, you lost your fucking ear. And then they just shoot to her and her ear just gone.
I was like, I did not notice that. Thank you, actually. For
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I like that. There's a good little beat of like very dark comedic stuff right there. So that worked for me. So
this
So-
just in, Shay just said that it is jarring.
There
she
you
didn't
go.
believe the trust there for someone that hasn't played the video game.
Even
so.
to what you were saying, Travis, like the bleeding out comment is true. It's like they just went home and chilled for like several hours. Like if that was truly, if they were actually bleeding out, like they were just standing there pretty casually. It didn't seem like frantic. If that was actually the case, maybe that's like, Joel, hang out with us for a bit. Let's get me patched up, and then I'll tell you what's going on. But instead,
Yeah.
like they need to get all the exposition out in that one scene.
But that's why I think like a Kirklin alludes to in the game where it feels like Ellie is just, hey, can you take this kid along? That's why it doesn't have to be big. Like, oh, there doesn't have to be a huge trust there because it's just, hey, you know, scratch my back, scratch yours, get you some stuff, you take this girl. Sure. I just feel like in that scene, whether it was the writing or the actors maybe portrayed it as too important. Maybe that was an acting choice that they just kind of made it over the top of, oh, this girl's really important. At that point, because you'd be like, if this girl's super important, like, is there even going to be more danger? Not just the clickers and stuff. Like, is people going to be after this girl? Like, what's the deal? Even Tess at one point says, like, well, what's the deal with her? And then they don't ever talk about that again, where in the game, it's just like, oh, it's just a girl. Just take her along. And then stuff slowly unravels. And again, I'm fine with it because I'm fine with us getting out of Boston. Now, episode 2, we get to start with the adventure. And I think it's smart as a hook to do the whole she's not like, well, she's like immune to the disease, right? So I think for a first person that's never played the game or heard that, I think that's a big hook too, because oh shit, like all these people could die in a second except this girl. What makes her so special? And I think that is a hook for all week. People be like, what's going on? You know. So,
And even just like that final shot too. I mean, it's fantastic. They pull out
yeah.
the night sky, you see the city. Like I am immediately like, I actually like in that moment I want to play the game. Like,
Yes,
oh man,
I was
I want to
back
go
there,
cruising
yeah.
through that city right now. But yeah, I'll wait till next week. I guess.
did you see when the lightning is going off? There's like one clicker on the roof. They're like moving
No, I
around.
didn't.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
there's one. Yeah, there's a building
eyes over
close
here.
enough. Yeah, I was looking. It's like, oh, I bet they wouldn't put it on the roof. And I was like, oh, they did. And it's like one, and it looked like one with like a more open head. And yeah, I was like, I want to play that level right now. If like I said to Emily, like, oh, next week we're gonna go through some creepy stuff next week. So
In the part where they were going to the where the fireflies were, they were kind of like descended, and then they spotted the one clicker kind of melded and fused into the wall.
Fucking what's
Did-
his
he's
name?
dead.
The guy from Davy Jones.
oh yeah,
Who's part of the ship?
Totally.
you know my son Will. And then, again, I did like that humor. Pedro's like, he's gone, and Tess is like, yeah, I know. It's good stuff.
So this place felt very claustrophobically small and linear in the sense like, okay, it was like point A to point B. There were no other entry points in here. So were we to believe that one of the fireflies got infected and then came down here, or went down here and got infected down here? Or is this
Well, that's
just
what
like
they
the
asked,
subway, just like, is this a dangerous place? And they use it as an access point, like to reach this wall. Like it just seems like that wall area should be maybe fortified a little bit more in the Firefly's base if it's so easily accessible from the outside where these clickers can come in from. That's one
a good
thing.
point.
Yeah, the whole setup.
And they
of,
also like that door is locked too. It's not like a right. Like she unlocks the door when they go through it, right?
Yeah, I guess
push it.
so. Yeah, it
Is it
just felt like
locked?
if
I thought she had a key or like a
Okay.
a pad code or whatever.
I don't remember that. I can't remember. I'm trying to
Okay.
think back to it, but it felt like a weird setup too. Like that's like the basement, and then the battery's there, and then they just walking through a door, and it's like there's like Ellie, and there's the whole crew and stuff. Like it felt very much like, okay, we spent the budget on a lot of things, but this Firefly building, it's gonna be in this one set with 3 rooms. Make it work, because we just give you all this money for Pedro and this building and that walker on the roof.
And the
Yeah,
We have
flashback
no
scene
budget
to
for the
daughter being
firefight.
shot.
yeah, no budget for the firefight. They cut away. You just have, which I'm pretty sure was what's his name that's gonna be in the show. He's always a meme. He's from Parks and Rec. He has the big mustache and
Oh,
stuff.
Nick Offerman.
Yeah, Nick Offerman, who like I'm not a fan of him being in the show because I feel like because he is such a meme, it's gonna take me out. But I think that was him on the roof when they were having that firefight. He said something like fight for peace or something like that, because it looked
Fuck
like
you, asshole.
it sounded like his voice, and I swear it was very, yeah, it sounded like him, so that could be him. But I'm excited to see him in the show. I think he's a good actor. I just worry I just see Nick Offerman, so that's my worry with him. Every time I see him in a promo, I'm like, okay, I just see this guy. But
I don't think I'm seeing him in anything other than a comedy, so I'm kind of excited to see what his more dramatic chops are.
yeah.
He'll
He's
be
got
the
the
guy
famous
dropping
beard in
quips
it.
the whole time.
Yeah. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and just starts say, what's happening here?
Every single line, that you can
Like,
think of.
Yeah, he's a new character they added just for like the GA to like have a laugh along the way and stuff like that. You know, what do you guys think about Ellie? Because obviously we didn't get like a much like I think I got maybe like 20-25 minutes. This is definitely more the Joel and like setting up the world episode. But again, I said like from what I like from her in the game, I thought this was represented well over here. There's like a charm to her, but also like a kind of just don't mess with this little girl. And I love the moment where she like she reads the situation better than Tess and Joel and gets that knife on the guy and stuff. So I thought there was a good balance of the character there. So
Yeah, I liked her. I don't know if I have a standout scene so far in this first episode that I can point to. And it's like, oh, what a performance or anything like that. But I think she seems like a pretty good fit for the role. And yeah, I'm excited to see more of her. I think the one thing that was kind of strange was the writing of the scene when they go back to back to Joel's, I guess, apartment is what we'll call it. And she like finds that book and like decodes this thing. Like just the way that was written was a bit strange to me, but I think other than that, I really like the character, and I have not seen this actress in anything. She was like in Game of Thrones, right? That
she
was like
was,
her.
yeah. She was like a standout there, yeah.
I never got to that season, so I've never seen her before, but so far, pretty impressed. I think she's pretty good so far.
Mm-hmm. I did in that scene though love the facial reactions between when she got the 80s song out of when she said, oh wham, and he like started to react, and she's like, oh, now I know what that means, the 80s, and just like the annoyed look Pedro had, like annoyed but kind of impressed. So I liked that little back and forth there of the apartment stuff. So
I guess it felt weird for me. I think she is like pretty musically inclined, like she plays guitar and stuff, but I still felt like, okay, she was born in this very strange world where things are not normal. Like, would she even know this information? I guess if she is a big music fan, maybe she would, but it didn't seem like a pull she would be able to make, but
yeah,
or like a little trick she'd be able to do. But I mean, maybe that's
I
a
think
big part of the character is that she knows lots of famous music or something like that.
yeah, I think that goes back to the music in the game, and also you'll see it later, a big fan of like comic book superhero stuff. So I think that goes into some of the character stuff. But yeah, she would have been born literally the year. Well, I don't know what they're trying to portray her as, because in real life she's 19, but I don't know what, because like she did not look like a 19
She's like 15 in the game or something, right?
Yeah, so if she's looking at that, this girl would have been born in the this apocalypse and whatnot. So
Born in the shit.
born.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm more positive than negative. I don't know. Like my pH level is a little bit more than a 7, which is a good thing right now. So I like it. Like I don't know. I think I wasn't expecting her to be so like fiery and rebellious, but at the same time, like because that caught me off guard. Like I'm just more intrigued about the character. But what really intrigued me was when she kind of got serious and like again showed those qualities of being a little bit more intelligent, of like knowing when to kind of be serious with things and like not just fuck around and like just be rebellious and like be difficult. Like I feel like that'll be something that she'll probably be bouncing between like just as the season goes along, because like I definitely remember Ellie, like I don't know. I feel like this version is a little bit more rebellious than the Ellie that I've remember from the game, but maybe I'm just misremembering a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe it
She
was
just seemed quieter in the game, at least in the early portions of it. But
I was gonna say maybe because it's a bit more like put together now, like faster. But she's a shit talker. Her and like that's how it starts. Is she annoys Joel a lot, and she will always kind of. She likes to poke the bear. She likes to kind of kick a little dirt in people's eyes and stuff like that. But I think it's because when you first meet her in the game, it is just she's a companion and stuff. I think they're getting to that, and probably better for the actress instead of just episode 1 you're not gonna do much. You're just gonna be the item. So probably bring some of that Ellie stuff in from later on to a bit earlier now. So
I am excited to see her just kind of experiencing things that she's never experienced before, because I do remember kind of coming across certain things and then she'll just make comments, and then her and Joel will have that back and forth. So I am very much looking forward to that. So I think, like I said, like it's not really anything negative so far. It's just like, okay, I'm meeting the crew. For me right now, Pedro is by far the standout, but I'm okay with the crew we got, and I'm looking forward to just getting more on-screen time with those. Because I mean, as we already mentioned, like I saw how well Joel and Sarah, like just that chemistry was built, and this Ellie character is going to be, just written so much more in depth than what that character of Sarah was. So I'm very much excited to get there, and yeah, just see them go through some difficult things and how they make it through, and
Yeah.
click click boom.
Any thoughts, Taylor?
I click click boom. I thought she was fantastic. I don't have a full on memory of her being like super angry and like pissed
I wouldn't
off
say
and
she's
stuff in
angry.
the show or in the game.
She's just tough. She's tough. And like the older she gets, especially, she gets more kind of grizzled as time goes on and stuff like that.
Well, shadow starts growing.
Fuck Shadow. I really just I enjoyed I can't remember the actress's name,
Bella
but again,
Ramsey.
yeah, she's fantastic in Game of Thrones. Holy shit, she's fantastic. So to see her now in this, in just delivering this fantastic performance, I'm really enjoying it. And like you guys said, the chemistry that she's gonna have with Pedro Pascal, can't wait to see how that's gonna go. And just kind of get more screen time with them together, because I think we got like just a fraction, tiny bit of it here, but yeah, more of it's going to be really good. And yeah, she really just delivers that scene too. Like I think you mentioned it, Travis, when she just read the situation, she put the knife casually up her sleeve and just went and like shanked the guy right in the leg there. Like I really liked how she is able to take control of herself and her situation in this, and doesn't have to rely on anyone else, and she doesn't feel annoying at all. And I think one of you guys alluded to that earlier, where you might have that to be careful of that with having a certain character. So yeah,
And poor guy just taking a pee, and I don't know if he's dead, but he's definitely not in a good situation.
if there was a clicker,
dead.
he'd be fucked.
He'd fuck.
He'd fuck.
If there was a clicker, he'd fuck.
We must fuck. Let us fuck.
Yeah, let's fuck.
I would say he's if he's not dead already, he's dead by the
Collapsed
start
lung.
of the next episode. So
Yeah. That's all my notes for this one. I think I hit on everything we needed to hit on. But you guys got anything to...
I like the character of Tess. I
Yeah,
kind
me
of
too,
completely
yeah.
forgot about her. So when she was like on screen, I'm like, okay, she must have been in the game at some point. So when they're actually like going on their travel, I'm like, okay, I remember Joel not being alone when they meet Ellie here. So, and I like the actress for her. Again, another tough and grizzled character, which I think that's something that they're doing really well of having characters like that, because who do you think would survive in this type of world? These more tough and grizzled people. She gets a lot of bruises and cuts on her face, but like it doesn't really faze her. I would probably just be a little bitch and crying and just depressed all the time. So yeah, I probably wouldn't be making it as far as
You
Tess.
jump into the fire yourself. You go to the roof. What's that? Kirk?
Take me instead.
Yeah, Kirk going to shoot a swanton bomb off the top.
Oh God. I mean, hopefully it wouldn't come to that, but let's just avoid the whole apocalypse thing in general. But no,
Yeah, I
I
agree.
like the character of Tess for sure. Tommy too. Again, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't really in it too much there, but I believe that like those two could be brothers at least, and hopefully Pedro finds them.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. That obviously they didn't have much time with Sarah and him, but it's pretty equivalent. I bought the brother thing. I'm not sure, Taylor. You probably won't remember. That's Gabriel Luna. He played Ghost Rider on Agents of Shield. So there you go, fun Marvel fact for you. So
No kidding.
good that he's on a show. He had a Ghost Rider show, but they took that away from him. But he's here, and I like him. I like because Tommy's like a bit more docile. Obviously, he's a troublemaker, but it's he gets more into the trouble. But Joel's the more aggressor of the two. So I really like the dynamic. I'm excited to see more if they find Tommy, and yeah. And I really like that shot too of even though the CGI rain looked a bit much, but I like when the radio did go off and it was just like storm lightning outside. And I just like the aesthetic of the radio, the apartment, the lighting, the storms outside. I liked everything. Just kind of like this is where he was. This nice warm and cozy place, and now he's out there in the shit, and it's a storming, so it's just awful.
I Shazam that song. I was like, what's the year? What 1980s Trouble. Not looking good.
Trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like 2002. What does this mean?
Yeah, good times. We're all good.
Yeah, the year before. I don't know what that, but yeah. Taylor, anything else to say?
About the show in general or a specific
You
character?
can talk about life if you want. I'm not sure. You're going through stuff.
My fucking apocalypses.
Yeah. Go listen to some Saliva tonight. You know.
Oh, I'm going to
Some
as soon as
saliva.
this is over. Yeah.
Everybody, come on! The radio station.
The show, it's like I said at the beginning of the episode, it's sitting super, super fine with me. I can't wait for that next episode. Now,
Super fine.
are
with
all
me.
the episodes 120 minutes, or is just
I
the premiere?
feel like Kirkland did ask us at the very beginning.
was like an
of the
hour
show
ago, that's
when we
fine.
asked, but,
Did you?
I think there is runtimes at least for the first 4. I think they're all variation of like different hours. So like an hour 5, an hour 10. But like I don't think they're all like this. Maybe the finale will be like this, but I don't think they're all going to be like that.
I'll
Okay.
give Taylor a pass. He ate like an entire blizzard since that. So that
I wasn't
like,
expecting it.
Blizzard,
This Blizzard
that'll-
just came in, so
That'll
Was it
do
from
things to your
Madison or
brain.
just random?
yeah,
Madison?
I think she was having a hankering for ice cream this
He
evening.
found it on his
so.
bookshelf. It's just like
Oh, I
liquid.
see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What flavor was it, Taylor?
It was strawberry chocolate.
It's quite a combo there.
Is that new?
I don't know. I didn't order it.
I got
Fair
so
enough.
much.
Never
After
heard of it
9, I'm
before.
gonna have to ask you all these questions about and everything like that. But yes, again, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in to our Last of Us review. We will be back next week, and we promise you it'll not be boring.